Here's a place where all of us can be safe. Our stories of transformation can be safe, and all the things we want to research are safe here. This is Safe Space with Cheyenne. I'm really excited you're here, and I hope you stick around for a while, because I've got a lot to show you before I leave Earth. I love you guys. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Did you get really good rest last night? I mean, think about it. Are you a good sleeper? Do you struggle with insomnia or intrusive thoughts that don't let you sleep? I've often thought about this, and I really reflected hard on it after I spoke with the guest we have today. He is coming on to teach us about transforming our sleep, but also getting into the story of how he struggled with insomnia and all of the other ailments that came with not getting the right amount of sleep. So I have welcomed on Manohar. I hope I said that properly. If not, just totally feel free to reintroduce yourself. He's coming on today to speak to us about his program called Transform Your Sleep. He also wrote a book called My Sleepless Nights, which entails his whole story of how he went through all of these struggles that we're going to get into and how he felt compelled to go and help others do the same. So thanks for coming on. How you doing today?
Yeah, thank you, Shay, for inviting me. Yeah, as you introduced, my name is Manohar and I am from India. I work in the software industry. So I've been working in the software industry since the last 15 years. So as you rightly said, I have myself struggled with insomnia. So approximately in 2019 was when I struggled with insomnia, wherein I used to just wait on the bed to go to sleep, but I couldn't go to sleep. So that was my struggle, and I've overcome that and also written a book, and also I'm helping people overcome this struggle. So that is in brief about me.
I love it. We're going to backtrack a bit and pull some details apart. So Q&A, here we come. So going back, obviously working in software definitely means you're in front of a lot of screens for an extended amount of time, which definitely doesn't help people go to sleep, is putting screens in front of their face. So is that one of the first things that you recognized that attributed to your insomnia was not only excessive screen time, but how late into the night that you were staying up having that interaction in front of your face too?
Yeah. Share that is definitely one of the major factors. I wouldn't say that that's not a factor. So I was recently listening to a TED talk by a guy called Adam, and he beautifully said this thing. If you just go 2 decades back, especially from the country where I stay in, so the television used to just completely shut down at 11 p.m. and then restart at 5 a.m. So, or for example, let's say you had to watch your favorite cartoon, serial, or whatever may be the case. You had to watch it and then wait for the next episode that airs next week. So right now, we don't have that thing. So right now, let's say you want to watch a series on Netflix or Amazon Prime or anything. You can just start watching it right now and without even a stop. So basically what happens with the screens and especially these handheld devices called mobiles, which has given us so much comfort. The problem is we don't have something called as an end. Okay, so when you don't have something called as an end, our brain is a continuous pleasure-seeking mechanism. So it wants pleasure at any cost. And then when you give it pleasure, so it wants more, it wants more, it wants more. So the more you go into this trap, the more it becomes harder and harder for you to just say, so many times we think that what is there, you can just put your mobile the side or something. And I have seen even people carrying the mobiles to their bed and then watching some YouTube video or whatever may be the case, and then just dozing off to sleep. So that is the level of thing. So basically, you are completely giving your brain a signal that it's not time to sleep, it's time to go on. And this is one of the primary causes of insomnia, where you don't, so if you just go to 1990s or 2 decades back when there was not a very big internet boom, you had to sometimes call end of the day. But right now, there's nothing like end of the day. So, and especially in one of the TED Talk, the narrator beautifully says this thing. Human beings are the only creatures on this planet Earth who change the time of sleep at will. Because every planet, okay, every animal or birds or anything, if they are nocturnal, they respect the nature and then they sleep at the daytime. And every bird or animal just goes, sees that it's nighttime and then just goes and sleeps. But human beings have this ability where one thing is the electricity, which is like 24 by 7. And of course, we have these handheld devices which give us so much of pleasure. We can't really say an end. So that is definitely one of the major causes of insomnia, for sure.
So, what were a lot of the health ailments that had come up at the time when you were struggling with insomnia?
Share like so it need not be a one size fit all approach, but from what I understand is our brain, like I told, it wants pleasure, and then it understands that when you don't give your body the rest, it can't survive. So, and then it understands that it needs to compromise on something or the other. So for me, it was like I used to lose my hair. So every day after, every night after I woke up, I used to have lot of fallen hair beside my bedside. I had lot of digestion issues. That every time I used to have acid reflux in my stomach, and that was one thing. And the scariest part for me was actually I was driving on a freeway kind of a thing, and I was on a good speed. And I don't even know what happened, but I definitely can say that I had micro sleep. I was on the wheel driving the car. I was just alone there, but I really feel that fortunate that anything could have happened because of these micro sleeps. So many accidents happen. Anything could have happened, but I'm there here to tell this story. So that was the most scariest part for me.
Yeah, that is really scary because that was kind of
Yeah.
leading into my next questions where I've had bouts of insomnia, not a continuous thing with what you're telling me you're experiencing, but I do know that if my alarm has to go off at a certain time, no matter what time I get to bed, I still have to wake up. So when I would get in those insomniatic fits, I would be like, oh my gosh, it's midnight, it's 1 a.m., it's 2 a.m. I still can't sleep. Oh my gosh, by the time I get to sleep, I'm going to be so tired and drained when I wake up that I'm either going to want to push past my alarm or now I'm really not even looking forward to my next day because I already am telling myself, you didn't get enough sleep, this, like your body, none of your cells have regenerated. You didn't, like you said, there is no end of day, right? It just kind of like clocks over into the next. And I would notice when I would get up in the morning, I was 10 times grumpier. I knew that I didn't get an adequate amount of sleep. And it didn't, like, you just feel like you're really not firing on all cylinders. So when you talk about the micro sleep aspect, do you think, obviously due to technology and a lot of people's processed eating habits is the best way I could say, do those all attribute to helping insomnia thrive in our lives too?
Yeah, I'll address the food part first. So coming to the food part, one thing which I like you rightly said, we have so much of processed food. So if you see the part, Shay, one of the most energy consuming process in our body is digestion. It has to be because it needs to digest the food and convert it into energy and all those kinds of things. And for food to get digested, basically what happens is the body temperature has to increase, right? So when you have processed what I was talking about is when we have this processed food, the body temperature increases. And this is actually not good when it comes to sleep. When you sleep, actually the temperature in the body has to go down. So when you have your processed food and a dinner, which is one of the things which I have observed is in 2019, I used to have a very late night dinner. So it was almost like 8:39 time frame kind of a thing, and then I used to go to bed at 10. So this actually creates a lot of problem because the for the food to get digested, the temperature in the body has to increase, and this actually creates problems. So what I have done consciously is I have shifted my dinner very early. So I started having dinner at 6:37 in the night, and that actually gave like a window for my body to digest, and basically the temperature has to increase and the temperature has to decrease. So that actually attributes and creates good sleep. So that is one thing. And related to the part where of micro sleeps, which you talked about, yeah, definitely when your body has to get that relaxation, definitely that micro sleeps are bound to happen. So and coming to your question, like you said that you have an alarm to wake up. So I was actually reading this book called Why We Sleep by Matt Walker. So it's a very famous book related to sleep. And one of the biggest suggestion which Matt Walker says is, just like we have an alarm to wake up, not many of us have an alarm to say that it's time to sleep. So that this is exactly what I'm going in line with the first answer, which is to create an end for the day. So you have to have an alarm for saying that it's end of the day. Now you have to start having your relaxation routine. So it could be anything for you, Shane. So it could. So for me, my relaxation routine is having a bath, a warm bath, and then sitting for meditation. So it could be something else for you. It could be going for a walk, or it could be drawing, or anything kind of a thing. So the thing is, when you give yourself the time and window to sleep, that is when sleep happens. And the other thing is, it is not necessary that you will sleep every day with the same amount of quality and all those things. So there will be, in fact, even for me, I do these things. In fact, there are few days where I don't sleep well. That is how life is. Life will always throw surprises at us, and you can't cope with these things. So, and that's the beauty of being human. So we are not robots, we are given an instruction saying that 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is the time to sleep, and then we just go to sleep. So that doesn't happen. So that is what I would say. And related to micro sleeps, so in fact, when I was having these issues, and I was consulting a psychologist, and my psychologist told me that if you have this micro sleep, if you can't go to a continuous kind of a sleep where you feel that you haven't given, so instead of rushing about things and doing things, everything, just relax and give your body the rest. Give your body the rest instead of saying, oh no, I can't do it. So just have a 2 minutes break kind of a thing, where you say that I am relaxing myself. I don't care what will happen in the day kind of a thing, but you have to relax yourself. You have to learn to relax. And that is when, if you're able to relax, I'm not saying that everything will go right, but at least you're giving your brain a chance to relax. So that is what I would answer your question.
Well, it's great advice, and definitely I get that you're going to have good days and bad days, especially when it comes to sleep. Going back to the diet aspect, did you change your diet when you were starting to do these meditation and like realization practices on how to really retrain, all of your daily habits? But when you think about having those late dinners, even though you moved them back, was there anything in your diet at the time that really was like harder for your body to break down? So even if you say you had dinner at 6:37, was there something that you kind of had to like kick out because you noticed that even your digestion was still like, we need a little more time because the stuff is heavier? Did you have to transform that as well?
In terms of diet, the biggest change I did was this part, and I started having foods which are less acidic in nature. That is the only change which I did, because I told that I was having these acid refluxes. So that is the reason I started having foods that were less acidic in nature, and so I started also having yogurt. So we actually, in India, we mix yogurt with water and we call it as buttermilk. And I started having that, which actually gives a kind of a relaxed feeling kind of a thing. So that is a few things which I did. Yeah, apart from that, I also did a couple of other things, so which we can talk in the next part of the episode.
Okay, perfect. Moving on. Meditation is known to create awareness in yourself, alter your perception, and really get your mind working the proper way if you train it the proper way, right? Like, I think it goes, especially for people that have an unconscious state of mind, they're in a very autopilot, robotic state with a lot of ways in their lives. They find meditation and then they start having these aha moments where they really realize, like, I am in charge and this is possible, and oh, these are all my limiting beliefs, and it gets people out of a victim mindset. And I mean, I could go on for days on the details of it. When you started doing this, like pulling yourself back early, you're really putting these thoughts into action. But when it comes to meditation, when you're still, everyone talks about like the squirrel brain in the beginning, like, what do you mean I have to sit down and not think anything? It's impossible, which it's not really about not thinking anything. It's about, like not grabbing onto those thoughts. But did you have those aha moments in the beginning when you were starting to retrain yourself out of the insomniatic fits?
Yeah, so I'll answer this with the first part, which of the squirrel brain, which you were talking about. In fact, when I started it, I also had this problem wherein I just was starting doing meditation, and I almost like gave it up multiple times. But then the thing that really helped me, Shay, is I used to listen to a guided meditation on Udemy. That actually had guided meditations for actually 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and 8 minutes, and slowly increasing it to 20 minutes. So when I started, the first mistake which I did was I just started with just directly with the 20 minutes meditation. And it was like so difficult for me because, like you said, every time I always was thinking like, is how many minutes I've done? Is it 4 minutes? I have to sit for still 16 minutes. So that was the biggest problem which I had. So what after these trial and errors, I realized is you have to find the path of the least resistance. And when you start, you have to just start with very bare minimum. So as a matter of fact, the book called by Dan Harris, where he talks about meditation for skeptics, the author says that even a 1 minute meditation is good enough to start, but you have to persist with those practices. So start with just 1 minute or 2 minute meditations. But in my part, what I did was I just started with this 3 minute meditation. And after doing, initially I screwed up and I did all the wrong things. But what I did was I just started with the 3 minute meditation, and then I increased it to 5 minute meditations, then to 8 minutes, then to 12 minutes, and then to 20 minutes is how I gradually progressed. And that is when actually I saw that results. In fact, even now, if I do those 20 minutes, some days my 20 minutes are totally agitated kind of thing. But one thing what I would like to say about meditation, Shay, is I heard this beautiful story from Lord Buddha. So what happens is someone comes to Buddha and asks him, what is the benefit of meditation? Why do you meditate and all those things? So Buddha says, go and get me a glass of water. So the disciple goes to the river and sees that there's the river is flowing very fast, and the water is very muddy. So he doesn't want to bring water. So Buddha insists that he should go and get a glass of water. So he takes a jug of water, and then the disciple gets water. And then Buddha asks him to just leave the jug of water for some time. So what happens is initially the water is very muddy, and then it's not drinkable. But then what happens is after you give it some time, the mud actually goes and settles to the bottom, and the clear water comes to the top. And this is what actually Buddha says. What happens when you meditate is your mind is always agitated, and once you give it some time, then the dust of the mind goes to the bottom and the clear water comes. So that is how I really like this analogy from the story of Buddha. And this is what happens when you are having these tough times. meditation will actually clear that thing. But all you need to do is give it time.
Consistency in meditation is one of the biggest things that I hear people talk about when they're like, oh, I do love it, but I never know when to fit it in and da 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 da. So I love the breakdown where you're like, even if it's a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you can do, just do that and build off of that pathway the best that you can.
Good.
I think that's great. And that advice really is for me, because I'm really good at being like, oh no, I didn't do that today. And I just kind of like slap my hand about it. I'm like, I got to get back to it. But some of the best advice I ever heard was this renowned meditation teacher that teaches all over the world. I messaged him one day and I said, how did you consistently like get yourself in that habit before those pathways really take over and it becomes just a way of life for you? In the beginning, like, what were your struggles? And he said that his mentor at the time said, you must meditate every day. It doesn't matter how long, but write an X on the calendar. And if you miss a day, you have to start over. He's like, so my first time I got to 30 days, and on day 31, I didn't really feel like doing it that day because I had received so many benefits from the prior 30 days that you kind of feel like, oh, I can skip it today. I don't really need it. I'm feeling good, right? And he said, but I certainly didn't want to have to start over. He's like, so I just kept going and going and going, which is really good that he pointed up the 30-day thing, because that's what a lot of neurologists talk about when we're talking about rebuilding pathways in our brain. 21 times to format habit, 30 days, all of those minimal number variations that we have for how our brain actually builds new patterns and actions for our lives. So for him to even be like, after 30 days, I was still like, I have to meditate today. So vulnerably, like, do you still have those days where it's a great benefit for you, you need it in your life, and it's caused all of this change for you, but we still have that nagging voice in the back of our head that's like, you don't have to do it, it's fine, you're feeling great today, just do it tomorrow, and they kind of push it off. Like, what do you do for that inner voice that tries to derail you from all this progress that you've made?
So that's the part of being human. So that's what I would say. So that definitely that definitely happens. But in fact, to be really honest, I have also missed a week kind of a thing. But then I somehow again start with small and then keep building it up. So that is the practice which I told, right? So when I skip for a week or 2 weeks, then what I want to do is don't again start with the 20 minutes. Instead, just do the 3-5 kind of a thing and then build up. So that is one thing which I have been doing.
Build it back up. I love that. Do you want to tell us about your book, My Sleepless Nights?
Yeah. So my book, My Sleepless Nights, is available on Amazon. So my book is about my story of, I put it this way. So it is like how I planted the seed of insomnia, how I nurtured the seed, and how it became a very big tree, which bothered me a lot. So that is what I have put it in as a broad classification. And then how I uprooted the plant. So I talked about the practice of meditation, which I started. So initially, before even starting the practice of meditation, to be really honest, I was also very desperate and I wanted a quick time fix in form of a sleeping pill. But then I went and talked with a psychologist, and then he asked me, like, he just had a one-on-one conversation, just like the way you and I are having. So I used to have this one-on-one conversation, but it helped me to a certain extent. But then the desperation was not helping. So he then referred me to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist diagnosed that it was anxiety, and I had to take anti-anxiety pills. But then the thing was, before going to the psychiatrist itself, I started on the practice of meditation, and my psychologist told me one thing: yeah, you may continue with this taking these pills and all those things, but don't give up on this practice of meditation. So I did this practice of meditation regularly. Like I told, just very tiny habits which I kept building up again and again. And with every visit to the psychiatrist, my dosage was always tapered down to half. So initially it started with 10 mg, it was tapered down to 5 mg, then to 2.5, and then completely it was tapered down. So that is what I mentioned about this book. And I also touched base about, since you talked about neuroplasticity. So this is one of the fascinating parts of human brain where we think that our brain cannot change, but the beauty is our brain can change at any part. As long as we are alive, we can change we can create new neural pathways, and we can completely change our brain. So our brain is completely malleable. Yeah. So it may not be very easy. Like, for example, my daughter is just 10 years. So for her, it can happen very fast, but maybe for me, it may take some time. But the part is the brain is malleable, and in fact there are so many books also. There's a book, I haven't read it, but The Brains That Changes Itself. So that's the title of the book, and that's about neuroplasticity, where your brain can change yourself. So that is what is mentioned in my book.
I love that. And let's go ahead and go into your program in general and how you work and assist clients. Definitely don't give everything away, because I'll have all your stuff linked below if anybody would like to transform their sleep with you. But if I'm a client coming to you, I know I have insomnia, my diet isn't the best, my anxiety is probably through the roof, definitely from not sleeping. How do you really start to help that person unbind these things with the, I don't want to say like tips and tricks, because there's a lot more than tips and tricks to it, but what are some of the ways that you start to give them the power back to themselves?
Yeah. So, Ashay, like one biggest thing which I have observed, in fact, it was with me also, and I have observed with people who struggle with insomnia, is they want to try to sleep as fast as they can. This is the biggest fallacy of sleep. The problem is, if you want to try and become good at cycling, the more you try, you become better at it. Or you want to become good at public speaking, if you try more and more, you become good at it. But in sleep, it's completely reverse. The more you try to sleep, the harder it becomes. So first thing is, you have to stop trying to sleep. So this is the biggest distinction which I teach people, is you can't sleep as long as you keep trying. So first thing is, you have to stop trying to sleep. So that is the first part. So when it comes to people who struggle with insomnia, the head is completely filled with sleep. I want to fix my sleep. And the brain is continuously revolving around these kinds of thoughts only. So I have this one-on-one conversation where I talk here and there about their favorite movies, their favorite colors, their favorite childhood memories, and those kinds of things. And that actually drifts their mind and their thoughts away from sleep. And they actually, so in our brain, there's a part called as amygdala, which is majorly responsible for the fight or flight response. So when you talk the way we are talking right now, having these conversations, what happens is the amygdala quietens down and it understands that there's no danger. And then the more evolved part of our brain called prefrontal cortex, which actually differentiates human beings from animals. So that actually takes over. And then I introduce them through the practice of mindfulness. This is one thing which I insist on. So the thing is, many times we either live in the past or live in the future, but we don't live in the present moment, right here, right now. So I introduce them to this part, which is called as mindfulness. Of course, then into the meditation, and then talk about these sleep rituals, like the way you talked about the diet. And the other part, which from my thing, which I have observed, is having a proper unwinding routine. So having an alarm and then having a proper unwinding routine. So spending time with your family. So in my case, what I used to, apart from meditation, the other things which really helped me was I used to sit and do some kind of drawing with my daughter. It was a very, it's called a Zentangle. So where you just keep drawing and then you don't bother about how good your drawing is and all those things. And just you focus on relaxing yourself. And then the other thing which I've noticed is previously I used to have this habit of watching news before going to sleep, these debate shows kind of thing. And what I understood is when you end the day with any feeling of hatred against you or someone else or those kinds of things, or you end the day with a feeling of anger, that also actually doesn't help. So when you end the day with the practice of either it could be if you're religious, you could end the day with a prayer, or the other thing which I recommend is the practice of gratitude. So being thankful for the little things that are there in your life. Once you do end the day, then you have good chances of going to sleep. And of course, the other most common thing is people have stories in their head. In fact, human beings have stories in their head. So it could be any kind of a limiting belief from the past or anything where you just hold on to that limiting belief very hard. That is once you are able to talk. So I don't start directly with that. So once I create that rapport and all those things, then I ask them to talk and share their story. So when they are able to let it go, that is when the real magic happens.
That's wonderful. I often use sleep meditations to fall asleep too. I go between a variety of like hertz frequencies, and the titles really get me. It'll be like, regenerate all the cells in your body, release all the worry, and tap into your subconscious mind, or astral travel, meet your spirit guides, like just very catchy things. And I've read them so many times, especially getting away from the hertz frequencies, even though that's what they are, but they advertise them as, you know, all the titles that I just said. I often wonder, like, where's the proof that this is actually happening? Or is this just really a good catchy title for guided meditations, right? So if you're going to my questions are stories that turn into questions. Have you noticed? What was I going to say? Oh, with giving people guided meditations, everyone's different. They're going to respond to different meditations, right? So do you have a variety that you're able to give to people, or is it just a standard? How do you really go about assessing to see what meditation is going to work for what client?
I'll answer the first part of the question related to the naming and all those things. This is my theory where I feel that going from point A to point B, you can have multiple ways, right? There is no one size fit one way of doing it. So that is what I feel. You can give any name to it, but the final thing is to do one thing, which is to tell your amygdala that there's nothing to worry, and let the prefrontal cortex take its processing power and handle it. So that is what I would say. So coming to what suits them. So in fact, it need not be just this meditation. So even there's a thing called as walking meditation where you just focus on the steps instead of the breath. You just focus on the steps that you are taking, the left, the right, the left, the right, the left, the right. And you keep the mind as usual gets distracted. You can also go in that way. So it's about like I was having this a conversation with a friend who is a meditation expert, and he gave a beautiful analogy, which is like he told, just like there are flavors in an ice cream, so you can try different varieties of ice cream, and the one which you like the most, you can just stick with that. So that is what I would recommend.
I love that. Thank you for that. I know that's going to help a lot of people, including me, because I hop around a lot on meditations. And it is like how I'm feeling and what's really going to penetrate through all those walls that I built up during my day. I'm so sorry. My questions sometimes escape me if I have too many loaded up in the dock already. So moving forward in your practice, not just in your personal practice, but also with your clients, like, you have a show on Instagram that I want to get into, before we're all done here, but what is your future goal for continuously spreading this knowledge and helping others transform their lives?
So coming to my future goal, so I want to become. Right now, I'm working in the software industry and doing this thing as a side hustle, which is helping people with that. So, but my future goal is to do this full time, helping people overcome these challenges. So that is my future goal, where I want to do this thing. And yeah, so related to this part, I have already started creating awareness by writing on my social media, my Facebook and my LinkedIn posts, this kind of thing. So wherein I talk about, yeah, if you see, most of the social media is about achieving, doing this thing, doing that thing, and all those things. But from what I understand is, unless you have a solid foundation of sleep, you can't really achieve anything very substantial, is what I feel. So that is what I talk about. So that is the direction which I'm going. So creating this awareness is the direction which I'm going, I would say.
Wonderful. And you also have a show that you do on your Instagram. You usually do an Instagram live, and you bring on experts in the field that you are currently helping, just again to educate people more and bring more awareness. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so yeah, Faith. So I have a show on Instagram that I regularly do every Friday at 8:30 p.m. India time. So I just collaborate with different sleep coaches, wherein I talk specifically about how they have struggled with their sleep issues and how they have overcome, and what is the advice that they give to their clients. And of course, I end the day, end the show with asking the guests to talk about the coaching program. My intention behind creating this talk show is to show that you did not lose hope and think that medication is the only way to get out of insomnia. So there are multiple people who have done it, have overcome this challenge, and you can also overcome. So that is my main intention behind creating this show. And I have almost completed 15 episodes of this talk show. So that is what I want to share here.
Well, I love that. And I love all the work that you're doing. All of the progress that you made from yourself is really, really inspiring, especially from, I mean, I get insomnia. I've never had it on your level, but I've experienced enough to be like, this isn't what I want in my life. But when it starts breaking down parts of your body and even not helping you propel on your future, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful goal to continue to want to explore it, teach it, and then I just see you like teaching a bunch of workshops in the future and traveling around. So you have my support. I'm cheering you on from my sweet little safe space in Wichita, Kansas.
Thank you, Shay, for that.
I will always have my guests' information linked below, but is there a specific between Facebook, Instagram, or your website that you prefer people to reach out to you to contact you about transforming their sleep?
I more or less have everything related to the content, but on my website I have like, if someone has an issue of insomnia, so I have just created a 10-minute video related to what is the biggest mistake which most people do when it comes to insomnia. So if anyone wants to have a look at it, so that is where you can look at it. So I have a free video which will come to your inbox, and you can get knowledge from that.
Wonderful. Great. Well, to all my friends listening, if you would like to transform your sleep, please head on over to our friend. He will get you all set up. And I was even looking at your website today, and it was just like transform your sleep in 30 days or less, which again, you do have to continue on to the process. But in this very fast moving world, you're going to transform a lot more than your sleep in 30 days if you go into these meditation practices. So I really appreciate you coming on today and telling us. And again, friends, all the information is down below. Hit the description if you would like to hear more.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. I look forward to keeping up with your work.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And hello, my friends. Before we get out of here, I have a track from Neovi. It's called Crash off of his album Onward. I'm sure you've heard this before, but just in case, go ahead and add it to that playlist, and I will see you on the next episode. Okay, friends? Love you all.
This is the Hoosier Media Network, your home for podcasting.